We're over here at Green Street Joinery. Welcome back to another episode of Today's Craftsman. Today we're talking about router bits. And I know that it seems like there's a ton of different router bits out there, but we all use just a handful of them for the most part.
Yep.
So I thought we'd just talk about which ones you use the most. And I'm sure you probably use ones that are similar to mine, so we might double up. We're probably not going to end up with 9 router bits if we're just picking 3 each.
Yeah. This is a pretty good selection, I think, what we have here.
Sounds good to me. Does anybody want to go first? You want to go first, Rob? I think you have.
All right, yeah. This is probably the router bit that I would use first. It's just to ease the edges.
It's the old L149.
Yeah, we call this Luigi because it says L149 on the side of this router, and I always thought it said Luigi, and I was like, why does this say Luigi on the side of this router?
L149 is the code from Conestoga, a door manufacturer, for an 1/8" round.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But this is great for, for an 1/8" round over, then you just hit it with a little sandpaper. And
Does it live in this router 100% of the time?
It does.
Yep.
That's nice.
I mean, that's kind of our MO,
Vintage porter
I
cable.
was going to say, this looks like a nice porta cable.
Yeah. It's got very limited bit visibility. That's my one complaint about it.
Yeah.
But
Almost makes you want to take the base off and cut it out, but it's...
yeah, back here, on 3 sides, it's basically fully
Concealed.
blocked.
Yeah.
That's definitely something that would bother me, because I have one router that's completely open that I use for cutting plugs. And
Yeah. That's why it works for this bit, because you don't really need, to see what you're doing.
Right.
You don't, yeah, you're just, you could do that one with your eyes closed, really.
Yeah, it's very forgiving.
Just don't tell your insurance company.
Don't tell OSHA. I get the OSHA comments all the time.
So there you go, Luigi.
I guess I'll go next. This is a 1/4" flush trim. You can see it's got little bearings down here at the bottom, and this is a compression bit. So at this, which I guess would be the bottom, the flutes are going this way, and at the top the flutes are going this way, so you don't get tear out on the top or the bottom as long as you're spanning, this over the edge of your work. You'll get a down cut and an up cut sort of simultaneously. So this is great for pattern work. If you need to make a curved toe kick or something, say, you can take a piece of 1/4" material, draw a line, cut it with a jigsaw, sand it until it's nice and fair. Then you can double stick tape it or pin nail it to your thing, or screw it onto the back and use this and follow that. It's good for making jigs because you can just kind of CA glue or pin nail stuff to boards and then route these things out really quickly. So this will go right through 3/4 plywood. We made the toe kick for that island the other day, and I had to put a piece of plywood on the top for some support on the outside, but then cut out a portion for this big fridge, and it was 3/4 material, and I just ripped right through it with a battery powered router.
Yeah, I heard you doing that.
Yeah, it didn't scream too bad.
And 1/4", not you wouldn't use 3/8 or 1/2". You like the 1/4".
The nice thing about the 1/4 is you get these spiral cutters, which cut much better than your regular fluted cutters. It's 1/4" shank, so it's got a 1/4". Whatever the cutting portion is, a 1/4" as well.
I might have to change one of my router bits because bits. I think I said bits, didn't I?
Router bitch.
I might have to change one of mine because I do it with.
Bring her into this.
Because I still use the old school fluted bit.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a lot for the bit to handle,
Mm-hmm.
especially if I'm working with. I'm sure you can use a bigger bit with 8/4.
Yep.
Because I've got this monster 2" flush cut bit that I use for, I used it on the trestle table a couple of months ago.
Oh, big long one.
Yeah, big long one, and that's just
scary.
a lot of material. So with a compression bit, that would probably do better.
And
Yeah.
Oh, is that what you got?
This is another compression bit.
Oh,
This
there you
is
go, yeah.
The 1/2" shank variety, and that has top and bottom bearing.
So I would, for the 8/4, I would need this to be 2 inches. This looks
Yeah.
like it's a full inch.
Yeah, I think you can take
Take that off?
take the bearings off. That way, you could do the old 2-pass.
Okay, yeah, there you go.
could do like the top and then flip your piece over and then use the bottom bearing to. We've done that before. That one's due for sharpening.
See, it's always learning something. Are you going to send this back to get sharpened?
Yeah. Yep.
Nice. So I guess I'll go. One of the bits that you often see me use is just I think it's a 5/16 inch beading bit, and I just use that because I like to add a little bead molding to dress up the underside apron of a table or something like that. For years, I used to use. Did you ever make molding with your table saw with
The Craftsman.
Yeah.
I've seen it. I haven't used it.
Yeah, that's how we did it the place I worked at back in the 80s. That's a little sketchy. So eventually I switched to using a router bit because I wanted people who were watching the show and building the furniture to have the ability to go out and get the bit and not have to try to figure out how to get this molding cutting bit for the table saw.
Yeah, and you need a pretty powerful table saw to run that. Like a job site saw isn't going to run a molding head like that.
It's not going to handle it, and it's just, just when you hit the on button, it's like starting an airplane, and it's just like
the shape.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
So that's, I guess, my one must-have bit, and I continue to use that bit, and I see myself using that bit for many more projects to come.
And that's a bearing guided bit?
It is.
Yeah.
The one that I'm using now is from CMT. I believe it's 5/16. It might be 3/16. Might be just a little bit light of a quarter.
We recently ran some bead, but it was just bead molding, and we used like a bullnose bit, which is basically the same thing, except yours has a bearing on it.
So did you run it and flip the board?
We just ran like 3/8 high by 3/4 inch wide bead molding to do beaded inset frames.
With the router, or did you use the hussy for that?
We ended up using the shaper because
Okay.
the shaper can take router bits, but
Gotcha.
it is just a regular router bit.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Got another one?
Yeah, we got this.
I think after you talk about the chamfer, we're all going to be done with the 3 router bits.
I got one more.
Okay, good.
It's like it's the roundover's fancy cousin.
I can't say it any better than that. It works really well for the kind of stuff that we do. We're very shaker, mission, craftsman,
Rectilinear.
Yeah, so if you just want to dress up some like skirt molding or something like that, the base,
Underside of a countertop.
Sure.
Yeah. It
get
works
that one
well, and it's very what's the word I'm looking for? Versatile, because you can take off just a tiny little hair of a thing, or you can really dig in and get a much bolder feature.
Yeah, I've got the orange one, which is a CMT. Same exact bit.
Plug
This
in
looks
that
like it's
CMT.
Yeah, I don't work for them, but
Not
that's just,
sponsored.
I've got a lot of orange router bits.
They were, CMT was like the good router bit that you could get at like a store,
I used to get them over at Uptight Fasteners
Yeah.
years and years ago, and you wouldn't see them anywhere else. You would see Freud.
Monmouth Builders, I think, is the local place now to get it.
Oh, you're right. They've got a lot of tools now.
Yeah.
Because now they've got Festool, they've got a good paint department. So we're saying the chamfer. If you don't have a chamfer, go out and grab a chamfer. This is the 45 degree, and what is that? 1 inch bit?
Yeah, it looks like it.
Like a 1 inch bit.
So you get a nice deep chamfer with it.
Now, do you ever use your roundover with a flute? Meaning, do you ever use the flute? So you have that edge?
So you get that little
The
fillet.
little
Cork or whatever it's
I
called.
think it's a flute, isn't it?
I don't know.
I thought it would be called a fillet.
Could be. You're probably right.
So you're saying raise this up so you get that.
Well, you can
spot.
also get roundovers with 2 fillets or
Yeah.
2 flutes,
Yep.
whichever one you like. So you'll have for some reason, I think it's fluted.
So it would be like this.
We're gonna have to get a shot of that for the B-roll.
Yeah, I got like a little wonky right there.
Yeah, it almost
like
went to a Roman OG. I was gonna say.
Yeah, that's like something that you would see on like a cabinet door, like an old school cabinet door edge.
Well, that's the thing. Like Roman OG, I never use them anymore.
No.
You know what I'll use it as? I'll use the one part of it as a cove. Mm-hmm. That's the one thing I think we're not really mentioning here.
Because you get like almost an elliptical.
Yeah.
Cove bit.
I like cove bits.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, if you take like 3/8 cove underneath, so you've got a tabletop, and you take a little cove off the bottom, you'll have now your tabletop looks like it's a 1/2 inch thick.
Yep.
And actually, I bought a mid-century modern server years ago for maybe like $100. I bought it to use in my studio as just studio furniture, like art studio furniture. My wife saw it and was like, I gotta have that. So I ended up refinishing it, and it's really nice. I mean, like I said, it was like $100 or maybe $95, and that's the detail on the bottom. But it's maybe more than 3/8. It's probably closer to a 1/2 inch. And we were talking about veneer on the podcast.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's all walnut veneer, the top. And all the plywood in those pieces are, what's the correct word for it? Where it's, solid core.
Like a stave core.
Something
or lumber core, yeah.
Lumber core. It's, I don't know if that's any more stable. It just seems like it's pretty nice.
Yeah. Yeah, we got two more.
Yeah, we got
Oh, good.
Straight bit.
1/4 inch straight bit. Good for making grooves. If you have to hog out little, sometimes you have, I don't know, a piece of hardware that needs to set flush into something. This is good for that. It's a small enough bite where you can manage to just like hold on to the router and kind of freehand most of it and then clean it up with a chisel. This is what I would use for doing like hinges. If I had to mortise out hinges, or whatever, let's say I had to mortise out this little square. You mark it out, you can tip your router down into it. Obviously you wouldn't want going 3/4 minutes, but you can tip your router down into it and then just sort of watch through the window and get close and then clean it up with a chisel. So that's what we use these for. This is a down cut, so the spirals are pointing down, so it'll push that top veneer down and it won't, if it's pulling up, it'll fray.
Good to know.
But this will keep it clean, so when you're routing down into something and you want the top clean, you want a down cut bit.
That's good. Good to know. Why wouldn't you use one that's a 1/2 inch so you don't have to make as many passes?
Well, you can't get a spiral, so this you can see it's sharp on the end, so
Yeah.
you can get that sort of like plunge. And you would need a 1/2 inch router.
So now you
to
got a
run
bigger
1/2 inch
router.
bit.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If we had to break out the 1/2 inch router,
Yeah.
I don't like breaking out the 1/2 inch router.
I don't either.
No.
We'll go to the shaper before we do that, if we can.
I have the same plunge router as you guys have, and I'm using that now to, although I got a 1/4 inch collet in it because I'm using a 1/4 inch bit, but it's still a 1/2 inch. It's still pretty big router.
Yeah.
It's an old Porta cable made in the USA. Same exact router as you guys have.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what you used when you did the sauce.
Yep.
The
that was like the medium-sized one because we even have like the big.
Okay.
Porta
I think it's 3 1/4.
It's like the one where like the top of it's like this big.
It's funny how you get to a point where if a tool's a certain weight, you just try to avoid it.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want to use that tool anymore.
It was the first thing I got because I didn't know any better.
I don't need 3 horsepower handheld.
I mean, it's nice. It's soft start and everything
Yeah.
like that, but it's so.
Well, it's nice that it's soft start
over the top.
because I'm always bracing. Like when
Yeah.
I'm ready to start some of my routers, I'm sort of like, okay,
Yeah,
boom.
it's got the variable speed on the top.
Yeah, that's
The
nice.
best is that DeWalt one that we have that's 1/2 inch.
That we all hate.
And it doesn't have soft start, and the switch is like way up here, so I'm like holding the handles, I'm like trying to hit it with my thumb like this. And then to turn it off is even worse because
Yeah, it's backward.
if we're using a pretty big bit. Like we have 1 inch roundovers for doing tabletops. Like if you have it's a 1 inch radius, so it's a 1 inch table. You can get the full roundover if you do both sides. So you got that thing hanging off the bottom. You're out of the workpiece, and the router's hanging half off of it, and you got to try and turn it off with your pinky.
Yeah, I luckily I have little bit longer
Yeah,
thumb.
got small hands.
Yeah, so funny.
I don't know why. I mean, with all the tools we have, why we still have that router. It's like
Too good to get rid of.
Yeah, then the day you get rid of it, something will come in and you'll
Yeah.
have needed it.
Mm-hmm.
That's usually how it is.
You want me to talk about the last one?
yeah. Here.
This is multiple router bits in one. So this is a rabbiting set. So you get the main bit, which is it's a half. This is a 1/2 inch collet router bit. So this is like about 9/16 high and 1.5 inch diameter. Right now it has this teeny tiny little bearing on it. So this is a rabbiting router bit. So you would ride this on the edge of your material, and you could cut out, whether it's on the inside of a door so that you could put a piece of glass in or whatever. And it has bearings all the way up to the point to make it a flush trim.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different bearings. So you can get all different offsets with your rabbit.
It's a nice set.
Have you used it to do some of those other different offsets?
Oh yeah. Yeah, so you've got flush trim, 1/8 inch, 3/16,
Nice.
quarter, 5/16, 3/8, 7/16, and 1/2 inch.
Sweet.
Super handy. And you're getting eight router bits for really, I mean, it's not cheap, but it's not
It looks
the
solid.
cost of 8 router bits. Yeah, this is Whiteside made in.
Yeah, Whiteside's good. I just bought their big thumbnail bit maybe 2 years ago. It seems like yesterday to put actually I didn't buy it. I found out what it was. It is an old Whiteside bit. I've
Mhm.
had it forever. And then I put the link to it on the plans because that's what it called for. So I actually bought the bit maybe 25 years ago, but that's the detail that I used on the top of this outdoor table that I made. And then recently I used it on the bottom again to make I call it a Japanese inspired coffee table. So instead of having a 3/4 inch or 7/8 of an inch thick top, you just have that little
Yeah,
like
I like that.
3/16 of an
classy.
inch and it comes down.
Mhm.
That's, I think, the big thing with tops is if you can undercut the side somehow to make it look light.
Nothing worse than a big chunky top.
Oh, that's why I see all these 8/4
River tables.
river tables. Yeah, they're pretty clunky.
We should say, I think, in terms of like brands of bits that, you can't go wrong with, like Whiteside, Amana, CMT. You don't want to go buy, this set of yellow bits from Amazon. I won't say the brand, but, you get 12 bits for $100, but they're not going to be any good.
disposable.
So spend your money on a couple good router bits like this. Freud is pretty good. You'll get decent life out of those. That's what this is. This is a Bosch. We haven't had too many issues with that, but spend your money on good router bits, and they'll last a long time. We haven't changed these bits in ages, and we're in a production shop.
Totally agree. You want to sign us off, Rob?
Well, I want to thank everybody for signing in, and is that what you say? Signing in? No.
Tuning in.
Tune in.
Sign in.
Tune out.
Tune in.
Tune out. Drop
And,
out.
If you have, as usual, if you have any questions about anything, hit us up, and we're always happy to help.
Maybe we'll put this on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
It's kind of a nice, relaxing conversation.
Get out there for Black Friday, find some deals, and get some router bits. Buy a Today's Craftsman piece of apparel.
There you go.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Thankful for you
All
guys.
right. Take care.
See you.